We are joined today by Erin Luciano, Relationship Manager at Fenimore Asset Management. Erin, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
It's great to be here, Rachel.
So to start, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your role at Fenimore?
Sure. I'm a Syracuse graduate. I spent about 9 years down in New York. I worked for a large bank and then a large hedge fund. Moved back upstate in 2009, working for a local broker-dealer, and started at Fenimore a little over almost 3 years ago. And my role at Fenimore has morphed a little bit since I started. I was mostly business development, but now I have the opportunity to have more of a relationship manager role, which I really enjoy.
What is the biggest misconception about investing held by investors?
I think the biggest misconception about investing is that people think they need a lot of money to invest. I read an article recently that I thought was pretty compelling. It said something to the point where you don't need a lot of money to invest. You just have to be budgeted and disciplined in your spending. So little amounts often add up to a lot. So if you're just disciplined to do that early on, you could be a really successful investor.
What is the hardest lesson you've ever learned about investing?
I would say the hardest lesson I've ever learned about investing would be being patient and realizing that things have to play out over time, not having knee-jerk reactions to fluctuations in the market. Investing can be very personal. Money is very personal. So I feel like if the market is volatile, people, including myself, the knee-jerk reaction is to try to pull out your money and time the market, when obviously that's probably the worst thing that you could do.
If you didn't work in financial services, what would be your profession and why?
I grew up playing sports and loving sports. I always pictured myself as a sports commentator on ESPN, so that probably would have been my dream job. Finance was always part of what I wanted to do, but if I had another life, maybe that would be where I would land.
What is the best advice you've ever received about investing?
I would have to say I got it from my father. He worked for Prudential for over 30 years, and the first thing he ever told me when I got my first job is pay yourself first. I know a lot of people say that, but I took his words of wisdom and made sure as soon as I could participate in a 401k that I was contributing money. I always remember him saying when my parents were younger, they only had $10 or $20 to put away a week when they started out, but over time that added up. That's something that really resonated with me. So I've been pretty disciplined since I started working doing that.
What is your favorite activity outside of investing?
Favorite activity outside of investing? I love to run. That helps me clear my head. Love spending time with my kids. In the summer, we have a pool, so we spend a lot of time there. And thankfully, all my family on both sides, my husband's family and my family, all live locally. So we all spend a lot of time together, and I really enjoy that.
What do you like most about working at Fenimore?
I love how collaborative it is at Fenimore. Everybody kind of wears several hats. I think that's what keeps things interesting and fun. You're always able and willing to bounce ideas off of each other. So I think that you don't get into the same monotonous routine of everyday things. Every day is always different, and I love that the most.
What advice have you given most often to your own family about planning for the future?
I would say during the pandemic, I got several calls from family members about wanting to pull their money out. And several of my family members have long investment horizons in front of them. So I encourage them to stay disciplined and realize this isn't money that they're going to be touching for a really long time. Keep it where it is, because there's no way we can time the market and figure out where it's going to bottom and when it's going to start crawling back up. And that proved to be very true. So I'm glad that they listened to my advice, and I think they are pretty relieved as well.
What advice would you give to people just starting out in their career?
I would say the best advice I could give to people starting out in their career is be willing to pay your dues and be patient. You can't get to the top without starting from the bottom. And I think sometimes that's hard to accept. So be mindful, work hard. You don't always have to be the smartest person in the room, but be the hardest working, and people will notice.
What one thing makes you most proud?
This one's gonna make me weepy. So the one thing that makes me most proud, I would say, is my family. I have 2 little girls that are spicy and sassy and strong and determined, and I hope that they always stay that way. So it makes me proud.
What makes Fenimore different?
When I started at Fenimore, I said this is one of the most unique places that I've ever worked. Having come from the institutional side to the retail side, it's nice to see how important they view their investors and their shareholders. I love that everybody has the opportunity to ask questions. Shareholders and clients can work with our research team to ask questions. That's super unique and unusual in this type of financial landscape. So I think those are things that set us apart from our peers, and that we have an open door policy. You don't necessarily have to have a meeting to come in and meet and ask questions. And I think that gives people a level of comfort they might not have elsewhere.
The Take 5 with Fenimore series is brought to you by Fenimore Asset Management. To learn more about Fenimore Asset Management and to view important disclosures, please visit us online at www.fenimoreasset.com.